Hi everybody, Jim Hamilton here with Core Resonance. I want to welcome everybody into 2015, and I'm sure everybody made it. Frankly, what I've seen so far, it is a whirlwind of interesting activity. There's a lot of letting go to be done, and in the letting go comes the magic, and I can safely say I've had my fair share. This video is associated with the latest iteration of my newsletters. My newsletters have been going out since 2006. I've actually written about 140 articles now, and I have 5 books. So whatever I've been doing a lot of it. This newsletter that's just going out that's associated with this video is called Premise 9, The Map of Consciousness. Now, premise 9 is one of 12 premises called the 12 premises of core resonance colonies. And just to very quickly touch on this, core resonance colonies is a group of 6 people that share the core resonance technology for the purpose of individually and collectively becoming coherent. In other words, 6 people support each other to use a system, share a system, become coherent within their nervous system, and then do so collectively as a group, and then in that coherence ground solutions and advance consciousness on this planet. In other words, a colony is an outpost for consciousness, and one of the fundamentals is the Maharishi effect, which you'll find is one of my other premises. Very quickly, Taproot by Core Resonance is the other thing I'm putting all my attention to. The 12 premises of core resonance colonies is the foundation of that as well. A Taproot is a intentional organization, an intentional community, an intentional corporation, or any other kind of intentional group, like a football team or a soccer team or a dance troupe, or Boy Scouts that wanted to really get ahead by learning the fast track of meditation. Because what we're doing is we are grounding innate intelligence into the foundation of any organization we create. That's what core resonance is all about these days. This is what it's evolved to. And cleaning up your nervous system is the foundation of that. Now, speaking of cleaning up your nervous system, the 9th premise, The Map Consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins. Of course, that came out of the book Power versus Force. And for those of you who don't know, the Map of Consciousness is a scale, arbitrary scale, 0 to 1,000. The lowest end of the scale, 0 to under 200, are the states of apathy, fear, grief, anxiety, rage, up through pride. 700 to 1,000 on this scale is where enlightenment starts at 700 and goes on up. Now, what's curious, 2 points on this regarding this map, is the break point on this map is at 200, not 500 or halfway through. It's at 200, and curiously, 200 is labeled courage. So what that means is as we are in apathy, fear, grief, rage, jealousy, whatever, it takes courage to step out of that and to have more. And that's the beginning of your life, actually. Another concept of the map of consciousness is that as you become more conscious, and this is a fundamental concept of all my work, that as you become more conscious, you become exponentially contributive. What does that mean? One person at 700 on the map of consciousness, admittedly a very high number. It's a high number. One person at 700 counterbalances the negativity of 70 million people below 200. That's what happens as that's what's happening on this planet. That's how the planet is moving forward. We can be assured it will move forward because in just 10 years, it's amazing how much consciousness has grown. Anyway, one person at 7 counterbalances the negativity of 70 million people below 200. One person at 600 counterbalances the negativity of 10 million people below 200. One person at 500 counterbalances the negativity of, I think it's 900,000 or 1 million, I forget the number. And the point becomes that as we become more conscious, we become more contributive. And that's not about 51% of the vote at all. Not at all. So what I wanted to talk about in this video, which it's taken me 5 minutes to get to, and I hope you don't mind hanging out for a minute as I explain myself. We've already discussed one of the fundamental concepts of the map of consciousness. It's a measuring gauge or a mapping of consciousness and actually the hierarchy of order found in the universe. That was the intent, as I understand it, by Dr. David Hawkins in his work. Well, what I've done with this article is I've extended out the idea of consciousness and what consciousness is like, or better said, when you drive in a car at night, well, let me give a better example. When you get in your car, you extend your nervous system and your senses to the edges of that automobile. I can tell you how I know this is true. I had a 38-foot diesel pusher motorhome a number of years ago, and one of the things it took a while was to get used to the front end of it and where the back end of it was. I once drove a 45-foot coach, and it was amazing how long it took the back end to get out on the highway when you're making a turn onto a highway. That back end is forever there behind you. The point is that as you become comfortable driving a big piece of equipment, your nervous system expands to the corners, and so when you're driving it, it becomes very second nature. It's just like your body. You're inside your body, you're inside your car. Your nervous system extends to that point. Think about a locomotive or somebody driving a huge train. Some of these trains are a mile long. Now, it's true, interestingly, that on a very long train, they have a caboose and often engines on the other end, but they have nervous systems, human nervous systems at both ends. And of course, those human nervous systems are plugged into gauges and all kinds of sensors to know what's going on in this mile-long body that humans operate and run. So the nervous system of the driver is up in front, I assume, and he sits in his seat. He knows what he's looking at, all his dials and gauges, and as he becomes comfortable in his position and his mirrors are set, he extends himself to the size of the job, of the task, which is driving this huge train. Same thing with a super tanker, same thing with a Volkswagen, same thing riding a bicycle. Your nervous system shifts and your senses shift to take on this task. So what's an idea along these lines? Let's say you jump in your car at night and you turn on your headlights. Have you extended your nervous system or your capacity to sense out into the dark with the headlights? Absolutely. What's another example? I'll jump to, I don't use notes, I'll jump to an extreme example. How many of us could imagine, just imagine, standing on the moon or on Mars or on Jupiter? It's with your imagination, for example, as a tool of extending your nervous system. I did jump to the end point right off the bat. But the point is that our nervous systems don't just sit inside of us and tell us when we prick our fingers. Our nervous system is our senses. What happens with your eyeballs? How do they work? Your eyeballs sense a certain frequency. What do your ears do? They sense a certain frequency. They extend out and they gather information. They're receivers is what they are. Your nervous system is a receiver and has this capacity to sense at all kinds of levels. And the more subtle we become, the more conscious we become, the more capable we are of sensing. Now think about intuition. That is something we receive intuition. And if we, of course, could leave our mind out of it, intuition would be a very powerful tool. And of course, for many people it is. But think about it this way. What's the opposite of receiving or intuition as something that comes to us? What about we use intuition, kind of like imagination, to extend out and feel? What's it like to feel some of the clothes in your closet and feel the color red right this moment? Can you feel the color red on one of the pieces of clothes in your closet? Can you now describe which piece of clothes it is? That's your nervous system doing its thing. That's what we are. I like to point out that our nervous system is our center. It's a controversial remark, but I say the nervous system is your center and not the heart. Now, the etheric heart, that's different. But the etheric heart would be like our heart chakra. Heart chakra is part of the nervous system. So what I wanted to do with this newsletter and this article and this video Let's touch on the idea of the importance of the nervous system. We underestimate it. We constantly medicate it. Now, it's true that often our nervous systems are running wild and we don't know how to manage them. And this, again, is what core resonance is all about. And by the way, I use neurofeedback. I developed a means of using neurofeedback, a specific type of neurofeedback, to quiet the brain, which is the single biggest part of the nervous system. If you were to carefully pull, remove the top of the head and carefully pull the brain out of the body, it would come out with all of the other nerves. In other words, come out like an octopus. And your nervous system is all one piece, with the brain being a single piece, single biggest part of it, major lobe, several lobes. So what I do with core resonance training is we quiet the brain by giving the brain exercises such that the brain can see the feedback for what it's trying to learn on the screen. And that is the feedback. The analogy would be trying to learn how to thread a needle behind your back. It's very difficult to do. You don't have much senses as far as doing it. When you add a mirror, it becomes the feedback mechanism of a mirror, the ability to thread a needle behind your back becomes more viable. You may have to learn how to do some yoga and spin your head around, but the point is that with feedback, you can do things you once couldn't. In other words, that's how we learn. So quieting the nervous system is a very important component of living life. It's what meditation is all about. Core resonance training is a much faster version. Think again about the idea of core resonance colonies, where 6 people get together. They use core resonance training among themselves and support each other to become more coherent individually and collectively, and then ground solutions into this dimension. It's the name of the game. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I want to thank you for listening. Please do the thumbs up and the likes and all that kind of stuff. I don't follow it all very closely, but peace. Namaste. Thank you.